is 11:05, and I think in honor of those that came in on time, we need to make a start, and those that are joining us will find us midway. In the meantime, I have muted everyone else. If you must speak, please raise your hand or put your question or comment in the chat. And then secondly, would like to request that you mute your videos. Wycliffe, I can see you looking handsome and beautiful, but maybe you could turn off your video, please. Thank you very much. I think Mutumba's video is also on. Please mute your videos so that we can save on data for others, because the more videos are on, the heavier it is and the more data it consumes. So I'm going to start recording this meeting. Oh, it's already recording. We're recording this meeting so that later on we can share with you and you can review. Those that miss out will also have access to this information. John Bukenya is the coordinator for this college, and I would like to invite him to manage the program and to proceed to do the prayers and introductions. John Bukenya. Is John in the house?
Yes, please. I was muted and now I'm unmuted.
Please go ahead and arrange for us to pray and share the program, and we make a start.
Thank you very much, Professor Jessica Nora Aguti. I welcome all students from the College of Natural Sciences. I also welcome the fellow trainers from the Institute of Open Distance and E-Learning. Today is our first meeting for e-assessment, and we are going to have like about two to three such meetings. I think after which we'll be ready to embrace or to take on online assessment after acquiring the skills of maneuvering through, navigating through our online courses, which are on the Makerere University e-learning environment, which is our learning management system. I would like now to welcome any volunteer from this group to lead us in an opening prayer. Anyone who can lead us in an opening prayer, please? You can just
Hello. Can I pray?
Hello. Hello, Dr. Professor Aguti.
Yes, please. I had muted everyone because there was a lot of noise, but someone is offering to pray.
Okay.
Let somebody.
You can proceed.
Pray.
Yes.
Loving Lord, we thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for this time that we are going to meet and share very important things. Lord, as we come here, we pray that whatever shall be shared with us, there shall be given unto us, and whatever we shall hear, that may we be able to use it to do the right thing, and may we be able to help us achieve all we want it for. King of Kings, we dedicate everything that we shall discuss in this meeting. We pray for calmness, we pray for peace, we pray that we come to agreement, and everything that we shall discuss that it might be helpful. We dedicate all the speakers and everyone here that may we complete this meeting when we are all safe. I pray all this in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay, thank you very
Amen.
much. Thank you very much for that opening prayer. And I'm going to proceed with sharing the program of our meeting today. On your screens, you can see a program for the virtual workshop, working with MAKERERE for today. Beginning 11 to 11:10, we are supposed to have introductions, and I'll be introducing the trainers in this workshop from the Institute of Open, Distance and E-Learning. Thereafter, we shall have Professor Jessica N. Aguti taking us in understanding what assessment is, and in particular, what online assessment is all about. Dr. Harriet Nabshaw at 11:20 will take us through the approaches to e-assessment, approaches to assessment, and the types of e-assessment. Then our colleague Juma from the Directorate of Information and Communications Technology will take us in the requirements, what we need to have to effectively participate in online assessment, to effectively work with MAKERERE. Then Dr. Samuel Semenyo will take us through some few reactions from you, the learners, and we shall have a wrap-up of the day, talking about the way forward and notifying us about our next meeting, which will be led by Mr. Triachira Nazarias, also from the Institute of Open Distance and E-Learning. And now, as I begin introducing the facilitators, I request them, when I point out your name, you put on your video so that the participants in this workshop could know you or could see you. So I'm going to begin by introducing Professor Jessica Nora Aguti, our lead trainer in this group. Over to you, Professor.
Hello,
Professor,
good morning, guys.
Okay.
Has gone off here, so maybe looking as dark as the darkness, but hi there.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. And she is the lead of this group. Let me also introduce Dr. Samuel Semenyo. Are you in the house? You can turn on your video and greet the participants.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here.
Okay, thank you very much. That is Dr. Samuel Semenyo. May we have Dr. Harriet Nabshaw? Okay, she's there already turning on her video. Greet us.
Yeah, hello everyone there. Thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Harriet. And let's have Nazarias Tuyachira from IODEL. Turn on your video and greet the participants. Nazarias Tuyachira.
Yes, John. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this training workshop.
Okay, thank you very much, Nazarias. Let's also have Mr. Juma from the Directorate of Information and Communication Technology, DICTS. Hello, Juma. Juma DICTS. Okay. I think Juma could be having some challenges, but we will introduce him as his challenges get better when they improve. And now I also want to introduce myself. I'm John Bukenya from the Institute of Open Distance and E-Learning. I'm also the coordinator of Bachelor of Science external degree program, which is run between CONAS, between the college, in collaboration between the College of Natural Sciences and the College of Education and External Studies. And our Bachelor of Science external students always interact with you there because they always share lecture space, lecture rooms, and even lecturers with you. So we do coordinate them as IODEL. And right now, we do not have any difference between external and full-time or internal students. Everybody now is supposed to study as an external student using our learning management system, which we always call MAKERERE. The acronym is MAKERERE, Makerere University e-learning environment. And now I'll hand over the mic to Professor Giskanora Aguti to proceed with the program like I've already introduced it to you. Thank you very much. I wish you a nice training session, and please feel free to ask any question you may be having when time reaches, like we have shown you on the program. Over to you, Professor.
Excuse me, sir. My question looks to be very important before we go ahead.
Let me request Professor Aguti to handle you, and then she may proceed with her presentation. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you.
Power here is unstable, and I'm going on and off. Now, there's a quick poll here that I would like you to respond to. It will take you less than a minute to do this. I have launched it. You should be seeing it on your screen. Please just respond yes or no. Okay, we already have a number of people signing in to the poll, checking, responding to the poll. This is nice. Thank you very much. We have about 300 people in the house. Some people are typing in the chat. That's okay, but if you're unable to use advice, please go ahead.
Excuse
Okay,
me,
we
madam.
have nearly 200 people that have.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes, sir.
Please, let me talk to you guys. We received the link to colleges, so I wish to confirm, is Forces College supposed to be part? Because I'm facing questions. If we are not supposed to be part, then we can leave. When our time comes, we join. So let me know about that.
Oh, thanks for your question. Your leader had asked me that question right at the beginning, and I said this is a meeting for CONAS. I don't know how you wound up with the link because CONAS is just beginning today. We've had some meetings with courses before. So if you stay in here, and you're welcome to stay, as a university student, but this is for CONAS, and we are starting the training from scratch. Thank you. All right, we have about 210 people that have voted so far, and I think I'm gonna stop this and then we'll just share the results quickly before I proceed to do my presentation. Okay. Can you see my screen? Do you see the results of the poll?
Yes.
Yes, the first question was, do you have a Makerere University email? There are about 26 people that do not have Makerere University emails, and would like to encourage you to get those emails because you need the Makerere University email to get a Mwele account. Have you ever, do you have a Mwele account? Yes, a number of you, 93% of those that voted, but only 16 people do not have. Have ever logged on to Mwele. Majority of you have been there, but a few, some 18 people have never been there. And then, I made a mistake here. It should have been yes and no, but they're all yes. So most of you have got some electronic device, which is very good. So thank you very much for responding to the questions. I can now go and I can now share my screen. Stop this and then move on to the next presentation. Which is my slides. Okay, I'm supposed to go through the number of people in the waiting room, so co-hosts, please help me manage that. The first question we are asking ourselves is, what is assessment? And we know that you've gone through assessment before, as right from the time you joined school, you were subject to tests and examinations, and so you've gone through that before, because assessment is really meant to help us measure, both students and staff measure academic progress, determine your readiness to learn, and determine what you have learned. So that is critical. There is an adage that says that what is not assessed is not learned. Unfortunately, in Uganda, we have put so much emphasis onto examinations that now the school system is being exam driven. But assessment is beyond simply measuring what you have learned. But assessment can also be done at the beginning of a program, at the beginning of a specific course, to determine what entry knowledge you have. And that is what we normally call diagnostic. You diagnose by subjecting the learners to some form of assessment. It could be a simple quiz to find out what they know, what they don't know, what competencies they already have, what attitudes they are coming to the program with, so that you can plan your teaching better. But we can also do assessment to find out whether you have learned what you were supposed to learn. Every program has got an approved goal. They have specific aims or specific objectives that they would want to fulfill. So as probably to give the students that enroll on that program the right knowledge, the right attitude, the right skills, the right competencies according to the requirements, maybe by the marketplace or the profession to which the students are likely to belong. So assessment can be used to do that. But the last function of assessment here, which is sometimes not well emphasized in our current education system, is assessment for purposes of enabling you to learn. For example, if you are given an assignment and the lecturer said, read chapter 9 of book X and read the following article and respond to the following questions. As you read, as you respond to the questions, you're supposed to be learning. But you can also be given an assignment. Maybe the lecturer has covered a specific topic and then he gives you problems for you to solve, problems that are based on what was covered. You are solving those problems so as to reinforce learning. And that is another function for assessment. Now, at MAKERERE University, we have two major forms of assessment that are articulated in every program regulation. Continuous assessment, where you might have 30 to 40%. Some programs will say continuous assessment will account for 30%. Other programs will say it will account for 40%, depending on how the program was designed. And that continuous assessment is often covered in many different ways. There might be tests, there might be quizzes, there might be take-home assignments, there might be lab work, and in the health sciences, clinical work, and then there might be projects. There are many different ways in which continuous assessment is currently being run at MAKERERE University using the traditional forms of teaching and learning, and even including what has been happening with the external degree program, the BSc that John talked about. Then there are examinations, final examinations, where we have the written exams. But in some disciplines, they have oral examinations, maybe in the languages, maybe in literature, maybe in health sciences, they might have oral examinations. There are also oral examinations for master's programs, for PhD, where you defend your work. That is an oral examination which you must pass. And then there are clinical reports which you might write, and there might even be practical work that is a terminal examination. And then we have project reports and dissertations. So at MAKERERE University, this is what is currently playing out and is provided for by the university regulations. Continuous assessment, 30 to 40%, depending on the program. Final examinations, maybe 60 to 70%, depending on the program. Now, we then ask ourselves, what then is e-assessment? I want to bring this to the forefront right from the beginning, that MAKERERE University has adopted a blended learning approach, where we blend methods of teaching, where we blend technologies for teaching, and where we blend methods or strategies or modalities of assessing students. E-assessment or online assessment is just one of the strategies that the university is adopting for assessment. And the reason we are highlighting this and taking students and staff through e-assessment is because it is the new kid on the block. We know the other ways. We now need to learn how to work on assessment online as well as one of the modalities for assessment. So what is e-assessment? E-assessment is also digital assessment. It is online assessment, it is e-assessment, it's computer-based assessment. What does that mean? It simply means we shall be using electronic technology, electronic tools to design assessments and to administer assessments. In other words, you may have done a quiz on, they bring the test and it has so many questions, 15, 20 questions or 100 questions, do them in 20 minutes and it's a quick quiz and they've given you the quiz in print form. Now you can do that quiz electronically. And in our case, it will probably be through Mwele. And we can also, e-assessment is also helpful when we begin to collect and store the students' assessment evidence. For example, evidence that you've done the quiz, evidence that you've submitted your portfolio, evidence that you have submitted your assignments. The analytics will help us to gather, to store that evidence. And when we say submit your assignment here, and they've created a folder for you, that folder becomes a tool that will be using to collect the assessment evidence, where the evidence here is that you have done the assignment. Submit your portfolio here, submit your video here. That will become the tool or the space within which you are collecting evidence that you have done your assessment. And you can be graded digitally, and we can provide feedback to you using these electronic means, and we can generate reports about attendance, about participation in a discussion forum, about record of what your performance has been. So that is e-assessment. But I want us to move on to the next slides, remembering two quick things. One, that e-assessment is just one of the ways in which Makerere University will be assessing students. And two, that it should be done in a manner that will ensure credibility of assessment. Back to you, John Bukenya, for the next phase.
Thank you very much, Professor, for that opening, for that introduction assessment. And it's not yet time for questions, though we are continuing with the registration in the chat. You will have to write your name, the registration number, and the program. You can also give us your email in the chat. So as presentations continue, do register in the chat, and the time for questions will come. It will be moderated by Dr. Siminyo, like I told you. But let us first listen to all of the presenters, and then we shall have time of answering your questions. And now it's my honor to invite Dr. Harriet Nabshao to take us through the approaches to assessment in the online environment. Thank you very much. Over to you, Dr. Harriet Nabshao.
Thank you very much, John and Prof, for introducing us to the two major concepts this morning. I hope our students have picked them clearly. Prof took us through what assessment means and then introduced another concept of e-assessment, and I'm just building on where she left. She had defined that concept. I'm just now following up on that with approaches to e-assessment. There are a number of approaches when it comes to assessment and e-assessment in particular, and that's what we want to look at. One of them is assessment for learning. This is also called diagnostic assessment, where the instructor may choose or wish to establish what the learners know before the learning takes place. This can be at the beginning of a semester or at the beginning of a topic. You may want to assess to know what skills, knowledge, or competencies your learners are coming with. before you can begin that topic or before you can begin that course unit. So there is what we call assessment before learning. And then we also have the second one, assessment for learning. Assessment for learning is also what we may call formative assessment, which is done during the course of the term. We may call this progressive assessment, we may call it continuous assessment, but it is done to help you learn, to find out whether you are learning, to find out how you are progressing. The instructor can give these assessments during the time teaching is going on. They give tests, they give courseworks, depending on the topic or the course unit somebody is handling. So this is what we call assessment for learning, which goes on during the time teaching is going on. Another type of assessment is assessment of learning. And this one is to find out whether you learned. It is also called summative assessment, which usually comes at the end of either the course unit or end of the semester or end of the term, whatever it may be. But in our case, we are looking at end of semester. That is when we usually have summative assessments, which is assessment of learning. Did you learn? Did you? The instructor will want to find out whether you actually acquired the knowledge, the skills, the attitudes that you were supposed to acquire at the end of the course. So that is assessment of learning. And then assessment as learning. To use assessment to improve learning, we may use this. We can give an example of internship, where you go to work with the industry to practice, to put into practice the theory that you have got into in class. So you'll be doing this, but at the same time, you're going to be assessed. So this assessment, where you're going for internship, you're learning, you're going to be assessed, but at the same time, it helps you improve on marrying theory and practice, therefore learning takes place. So those are some of the approaches that can be used when we are doing assessment. And as we go on sharing, you realize that a number of these are going to be discussed, especially when we look at progressive assessment and summative assessment. What are some of these, the different types, and how we do them as online is concerned? So on that, we are just going to look at different types of assessment. There are different types of assessment when it comes to e-learning and generally assessment in general. We have currently now, when we talk about e-learning, we are talking about discussion blogs, we are talking about forums, we are talking about chats. These are very common when it comes to the use of our learning management systems, and are being used for assessment. The instructor will require you to participate in the forums, in the chat. A question, discussion topic can be put there, and you're supposed to participate and give your contributions, maybe critiques, maybe reviews, and through that you will be assessed. So as like I said, as we go along, you're going to be taken through. We use these forums of blogs and chats and how assessment is done. Then we have what we call peer assessment. This is also an assessment tool where students evaluate others. They evaluate their peers. They assess, they review, and critique the work of their peers. But usually this is done in a set assessment criteria. And of course, as they do this, the other peers will get feedback for improvement. But importantly here to note that peers can actually participate in assessment. The instructor can choose to use that kind of assessment, as long as there is a set criteria that has been provided. Peers can assess others. Then we have what we call self-assessment. It's also an assessment where students evaluate themselves, and you do this by measuring your performance against, again, the stated goals or learning objectives. At the beginning of a course unit or a topic, there are always learning outcomes, or we may call them objectives. And a student can evaluate, you evaluate yourself against those set goals, learning goals, or learning objectives, and you to establish how you are preparing. And we have a quiz. The quizzes usually test knowledge. They also look for short answers or feelings. They can come with objectives, depending on what the lecturer wants to find out. It is also a type of assessment that can be used. Then we have case studies. A case study, usually it's an in-depth study or detailed examination, which the instructor may need or require you to do by finding out more information on a person or a group of people or an event, and then you write a report. So case studies can also be used for assessment. If the lecturer would like you to do a case study, they may, depending on, again, on the topic or area that you're handling, you may be asked to find a case study to work with, and then at the end of the day, of course, you write a report. We have what we call term papers. Papers are also written at the end of a session or at the end of a semester. And we would say they are a little more like exam papers, because it can be written, either it can be end of a topic, or it can be an exam that should be written in detail. So depending on how the lecturer would love to use this for assessment, you may be required to write called term papers. Another type of assessment are presentations. Sometimes you can be assessed through presentations. Again, an area or topic can be given for you to research on and make presentations, and through that, you will be graded, assessed, and then graded. So that's another type of assessment that can be used. Then we have group collaborative work. This is very common, especially at university, and again with groups. Many times students are grouped, and then they do research on an area that has been given, and then they make presentations, and then they are assessed. So sometimes, just like in the above, the above assessment type I talked about, presentations. Sometimes presentations can be individual, and other times they may be group presentations. But in this case, we are focusing on group collaborative work, that some work can be done collaboratively. It could be a project work. It could be just an area that you are given to research on and make a presentation as a group, depending on what your instructor would love you to do. Another form of assessment that can be again used are final written exams. These ones we are familiar with, the ones we always write at the end of the semester. These ones, we know everything about them. And then Final reports is another type of assessment. This may take the dissertations that right, research dissertations. You've done your research and then you write a dissertation, it is marked, defended, and you produce a report. So that is another form of assessment. And finally, we have another form of assessment, which is open book exam, where you're given a question or questions to work with, but you're not being supervised. They've told you go and do research and you write and you respond to this question. And you're at liberty to consult all the resources at your disposal. These are the ones they call open book exams. We know that they've been common in the School of Law, where they've been commonly used there, but even in other, now that we are in this new normal, we are saying that even in other fields, open book exams can still be utilized as long as the necessary precautions are taken as far as designing the question or structuring the question is concerned, to avoid any form of either plagiarism or copying or whatever. So those are some of the different types of assessments that we can use in the, as far as e-assessment is concerned. In addition to what Professor had actually earlier shared with us, which the ones we are more familiar with, we still have more that that are being suggested that can be utilized. I think that is the end of my presentation. I will stop here and hand over to the program manager. Over to you, John. John?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Harriet, for that presentation about the approaches to assessment and the forms of e-assessment that are available to us. Of course, as a university, we will zero down, we will concentrate on a few approaches that will be communicated to the learners later, especially if the lockdown continues. According to the program, we are supposed to have another presentation from Mr. Juma from Dickets on requirements to participate in online assessment. Juma, are you in the house? I was trying to check on the participants list, and I did not see Juma, but I'll request Dr. Harriet to stop sharing so that we can look at the requirements that each student must have. That is that. Hope everyone can see my screen. I was trying to outline these requirements, which we are supposed to have as learners in order to have successful or smooth e-learning on the learning platform, Makerere University e-learning environment. Each student may require either a desktop computer or a laptop. It is always advised that we have a laptop or a desktop computer accessible in order to successfully study online. However, Some of you who have your smartphones could also use them for learning using MAKERERE, although it is recommended that a laptop or desktop computer are better because there are some affordances or device provisions which may not be easily seen using a smartphone. And therefore, it would be recommended if you can access a laptop, a desktop computer, to use those ones for learning during the teaching by your lecturers or during assessment as you are attempting continuous assessment, like your exercises, your assignments, or even the end of semester exam, the final exam. Use a laptop or desktop computer. You are also required to have at least some access to the internet to enable you to reach the learning management system, to reach MAKERERE. For you to reach MAKERERE, you should have some access to the internet so that when you reach our sites, the official university sites, and even the learning management system, you can now enjoy the free internet access as you are using what has been already sponsored or negotiated by the university. So you may need like some little data to enable you reach MAKERERE, and then you'll have a zero-rated system where you are freely using the learning management system. But it is also advised that you should have some basic ICT skills, because you'll be told, click here, you'll be told, submit the assignment you've attempted, you'll be told to do different tasks which require you to have some basic ICT skills. For instance, you may be given an exercise or an assignment where you need to type your answers and then send them, you submit them to the examiner, to the lecturer for marking and grading. So you should have at least like typing skills. Basic ICT skills. Another one is login credentials. Login credentials here we mean ability to access the learning management system, ability to access like MAKERERE University e-learning environment. And here we will need to have active or functional usernames and passwords. These usernames and passwords, when we put them in, where you are asked to provide a username or you are asked to provide a password, they should be correct usernames and correct passwords, so that when you log in, you are taken to the MAKERERE page, to the MAKERERE page. Otherwise, if you have wrong usernames and passwords, the system will keep on asking you for the correct ones until you provide the correct ones, that you'll be taken to MAKERERE University e-learning environment. And I'm going to share with you in the chat certain links to YouTube videos which have been provided. They are in the public forum. They have been provided by our technical staff to guide you in, one, creating your MAKERERE University student webmail account if you don't have one. The second video, these are short videos of around 2 to 3 minutes, only 2 to 3 minutes. So you'll be following them slowly as you do whatever instructions you are given in these short videos. Another video is talking of how to access your MAKERERE webmail account as a student. So I'll share them I'll share these links with you so that in your free time you can listen to them. Then creating a new account and editing user profile, creating a new account in Mwere and how to edit user profile. I'll be availing you with these YouTube videos so that you may watch or listen to them as you follow up the instructions. And at the end of the day, you will have a functional username and password, which when logged in, you will be taken directly to the learning management system, and you'll be able to follow up all the course units that your lecturers have availed on Mwere. So those are the requirements we need. I've just made this presentation on behalf of Juma from the Directorate of Information and Communications Technology. And now I'm going to request Dr. Samuel Siminyu to take us through the next session, where we expect you, the students, to interact with us. We want to hear from you so that you get feedback from our side. Meanwhile, as I've told you, I'm going to share these links to the YouTube videos, which will guide you in getting access to the Makerere University e-learning environment. Work has been simplified for you. You only need to put in these links in the address bar, and then a YouTube video will come that will guide you in accessing the learning management system, in accessing Mwere. So I've put the links there for you in the chat. And now I'd like to hand over the program to Dr. Samuel Siminyu to take us ahead. Thank you very much. Over to you, Dr. Siminyu.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, John, for that clear presentation. Juma usually gives us a little practical session, but the videos that he has pointed out are actually prepared by the same team, so I hope you can utilize those. But could we just find out by you typing into the chat, type number 1 if you have the requirements for logging onto Mwele. Do you have an email, a university email account, a new one? Just type 1. If you don't, type 2. Are there any responses coming in?
Yes, there are a lot of ones. And we had also asked that question earlier in the poll.
All right.
If you remember, we had asked, I have a Makerere University email. We had 208 responses. 234 responses, and 208 people had said they have email. 26 didn't have. And the large number also already have Mwele accounts, and the number had also logged on to Mwele before. Okay. So this is what the poll had indicated earlier.
So now we have an extra about 100 other people in the house.
Yes.
So the figures could grow a little, but yes, that gives us the information that we needed. And I do hope that when we go online, using the videos, those who have not yet registered, who have not yet gotten the Mwele accounts, who have not yet got the university email and gotten onto the Mwele, that when we go and we have challenges, we do have people at college level who are in charge of ICT. They will certainly be willing to help us out. Thank you very much. Can we then have those that have questions to raise? Put up your hands following our presentation. You have something to first raise your hand. I'll pick you before you unmute. Do not unmute your microphone until I have requested you to. So I'm already seeing 6 hands up, and we will start with those. We'll receive a set of questions and then go into responses. Maria Asimwe, you are the first one. Can you please unmute and ask your question?
Thank you for the opportunity. What I am asking is, I already have an account with Mwele and I've been using it. Do I need to open up another account?
And then the next person is Isaka. Is that somebody spells his name with the name, but I think it's Isaac.
Thank you, sir. So my question is related with emails. We have all emails that we have been using to access but before by the close of last semester, we realized that they changed the system.
You are disappearing. Your voice is disappearing. Can you get closer to your microphone and say what you are saying again?
My question is still about
unmute your microphone if you are not speaking. If you are not the one speaking, I hear echoes. Harriet. Back to you, Isaac. Can you say what you wanted to say?
Related about last semester, they had changed the system.
I'm sorry, Isaac, we can't hear you.
I think Isaac should type in the chat.
Just type your question in the chat. Let's have Praise. Aine Praise. Praise, go ahead. Your microphone is unmuted.
My question is about the old emails, because I have an old email account and I see you talk about new accounts. What is it about?
Okay. Old and new emails. Then let's hear Elijah Damba.
Okay.
Elijah Damba, please go ahead and speak.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is that some of us, our Mwele accounts have issues, and we would like to speak to someone who can rectify those issues. At least you'll help us with a contact so that we can call them and talk to them, and they direct us how to sort out those issues. Because me, since then, I have never used Mwele.
Training. So
if you are not speaking, please mute your microphone. Too many voices in the background.
The problem is you mute people, they unmute. You mute, they unmute, even when they are not talking. Please, let's exercise some modesty and decorum by
Doris, Rachel, your microphones are on when you are not meant to be speaking. Tofa.
I'm muting everyone. Dr. Simini, you will have to unmute.
Yes, issues with Mwele and the new emails. I'll ask Dr. Guti to say something about this, and then we shall proceed.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Siminyu. If you already have a Mwele account, you don't need a new one. Unless you get problems with that account, in which case you get in touch with the college IT person. And the advantage CONAS has is that you have a gentleman called Kasaga who has worked closely with us at IODEL before and understands Mwele quite well. So you can send him an email. I know Bukenya John has shared Kasaga's contact in the chat. So copy that. If you have issues with your Mwele account, if you have challenges with your email, please get in touch with Kasaga. If you already have an email, the Makerere University migrated emails. Let me share my screen briefly. Is this? Makerere University migrated emails. For example, before the migration, my email was aguti@sis.mac.ac.ug. That was my email before. But now the emails have changed. So if you had aguti@CONAS, let me make this now CONAS, for example. Makerere does not want us to work with these emails anymore. In fact, now you cannot use this to send out emails. So what has happened now? My email has changed to jessica.aguti@mac.ac.ug. Please don't ask me why we have migrated. This was a council decision. The IT people have the rationale. And if you go to the migrate.mac.ac.ug, they have put there a rationale as to why they migrated. So now for you to create an email, a Mwele account, you need this version of email. The aguti, jessica.aguti@mac.ac.ug. aguti@conas.mac.ac.ug will not work. So that is why you need a new email account. And the videos that John shared and the websites that I provided will take you to the website where you can generate a new email account. Or if you have an old account, you want a new one. The advantage of migrating as opposed to creating a new one is that when you migrate, all your old emails, the mail that you had sent, the mail that you received, which you had probably saved and you need, will be available to you. But if you create a new account, you lose out on all the old emails. I think I've answered all the questions around the Mwele accounts and the emails. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you. And probably just one additional clarification. For the students, I think it would be jessica.aguti@student.mac.ac.ug.
Yes.
So if you don't have an email with @student.mac.ac.ug, it's not up to date, you won't be able to access Mwele. And please do not wait until they tell you the exams are beginning tomorrow and then you begin fumbling. You might get on when there are too many people wanting to be helped, and Mr. Kasaga may not have adequate time to attend to all of you. The system can get into trouble and crash, whatever. So it's better that you start today. Make sure if you do not have an account with Mwele, if you do not have an email, you attend to all these things early enough so that if the university announces that we are beginning exams, you are ready. You know how to navigate. We will be announcing the subsequent trainings that we will have to help you go in and keep up to date. The more current you are and practiced in the system, the easier it will be for you, you know. If you are going to learn as you are doing an exam, you waste a lot of time that you would not have wasted if you were familiar. If you begin learning to open an account when you are going to do the exam, you can imagine the trouble you'll run into. So let's take more questions. I don't know how much more time I still have, but let's take a few.
You have, I think, maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Okay,
John is the program manager.
We
We
can
finish
still
at 12:30.
Okay, I can take, it's still 12:10, so I can take a few more questions.
Maybe
Rhoda.
Sam, take more. Sam.
Hello.
There was a question in the chat that when is this assessment going to start? When are we starting online assessment?
Okay. Now, the reason we are giving you this background is twofold. Some of you had finished semester 1 exams and you are waiting to go on into semester 2. Senate sat and agreed that we should resume our studies. Those of you who have already done end of semester assessments, we should resume online because the regulations are not permitting us to have face-to-face sessions. I'm getting
Juanita, please
echoes.
mute yourself.
I'm getting echoes.
I'm going to mute all, then Dr. Simi, you unmute.
Please. Thank you. So there will be those of you that need to continue to enter the new semester. A definite date is going to be communicated, but it's going to be online. So the assessments that we are talking about, progressive assessment, you know, entry point assessment to determine what you already know and so on, are going to begin online as you get into the new semester. And depending on what happens down the road, the final assessment may also be done online, because if the government has not lifted the ban on large meetings, there is little we can do but to continue to work online, except for small groups for which you will need permission, those that need to do practical exams and so on and so forth. Those of you who were at the point of doing exams, you hadn't started the first years and some continuing students, you will need to be assessed before you move into the next semester. And that assessment will be done online. So a specific date will be communicated. The colleges have been asked to sit down and refine their approaches and determine when what will begin. And so when they meet and synchronize this as a university, you'll certainly get communication of when exactly it will start. But yes, we are into blended learning. And so this is going to start immediately if it hasn't started. But different levels of assessment will be used at different times as your programs unfold. I hope I have answered that clearly. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that is the question that somebody raised. Can we go on to Rhoda? Rhoda Kovsinje, you had a question?
Thank you, sir, for that opportunity. My question is, when I have an account, but I can't seem to enroll for actually all the courses. I can't, and they're telling me that you cannot enroll yourself. It's only one course where they let students enroll themselves. So I really need help on that. How can we enroll ourselves? Thank you.
Thank you, Rhoda. Somebody will answer that. Joseph Gado, your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. My question goes to data. You have talked about small or little data, which I don't understand. Last year, the same issue happened. We were told that we are going to be given data, but when the online lectures began, we used our own data, not the zero rated that they told us that we are going to be given, but we sent our numbers, but by the end of it all, we used our real data. Now, won't this be the same as last year's? Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Thomas, Wanyama Thomas, your hand is up. Yes, Thomas, you have unmuted. Go ahead and speak. Hello, Thomas, do you hear me? Unfortunately, we can't hear you. Can you put your question in the chat, Thomas? We won't wait much longer. For some reason, your voice is not coming through. John Paul Serwanja.
Thank you, sir. My question, I forgot my webmail. My university password webmail. Now I don't know what to do. Whom should I consult? Thank you.
Okay, now a lot of these are technical issues that required Mr. Kasaga to be here or somebody else, but we will give you some general responses. John, would you like to say something about this? Enrollment into a course. I know that there are two options. Lecturers usually set and say whether students will self-enroll or the tutor will enroll them into the course. And if somebody, Rhoda was the one saying they have tried to self-enroll and only one course accepts, it's likely that the tutors for the other programs have set the system so that they do the enrollment and not individual students. But John will clarify on that a little. Then the issue of zero-rated data that has proved to be like a mirage. Again, this is something that Dicts works on, and unfortunately Juma is not here. We can only raise it as an administrative issue so that this can be done quickly. There are some networks that had offered, and when people went there, they wouldn't find the zero-rated service that had been told others were active. Would want to get back to them and clarify this. Thomas, with your webmail.
Can I comment on, may I comment on that, please?
The zero-rated.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
And the issue of students being given data. I was a director for quite a while at the Institute of Open Distance and E-Learning, and I do not remember seeing any circular indicating that students and or even staff would be given data. The university was not sending data to anyone. So I don't know where the students got their information from. We're not aware of that. As far as the zero rate is concerned, I like the analogy that the deputy principal of our college made. He said, if you're a lover of football and the Cranes are having a match at Namboli, and you want to watch the match live, if you're based in Mbale, you're going to have to pay to take a bus, to take a taxi, or to drive your car from Mbale to Nambole. When you reach Nambole and you have the ticket, then you can enter Nambole and enjoy watching the match. In the same vein, for you to get onto Mwele, you need to have some data for you to go to the internet. Type in the Mwele address. Once you are inside Mwele, then the zero rate will kick in. Unfortunately, as of now, Zoom is not zero rated, but I am aware that there are discussions going on between universities and I think NITA or somebody or the Ministry of Education, so that Zoom can also be zero rated, so that Zoom can become can be accessed via Mwele, so that it becomes zero rated. And I think RENU is involved in these discussions as well. As to how far the discussions have gone, I am not 100% certain. But for now, make sure you have initial data for you to get onto Mwele, then you can enjoy the zero rate. And the investor is not going to send mobile money to your phone or data bundles to your phone. Whoever is giving you that information, I think is providing misleading information as of now. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you very much for that update. You need to have some bundle that enables you to get onto Mwele. And when you're on Mwele, then you can have the zero rated service. Where it has failed, something is being done to rectify that. Acquaint yourself with this. Stop living in the past. Yeah, the mistakes that were of yesterday should not cause you not to wake up in the morning, that because you got out and went out and it rained, so you think it might rain again like it did yesterday, so you remain in your bed. You can imagine what would happen to your gardens if you did. Members, can we go on with the questions? We still have a little more time, just about 5 minutes. There's Obed. Can we hear your question? Kamlegea Obed, unmute and speak. Gerald, Obed doesn't seem to be available. Gerald Oire, please.
Yes, thank you. I hope I can be heard.
We are hearing you.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity. This is Gerald in my 4th year. Now, I have two, let me call them complaints about Mwele. I've been using Mwele for the last 3 years, but one, you realize that this is the platform where if there are maybe less than 100 users online, things are okay and everything is fine. But a scenario where thousands are online, you realize that Mwele is jamming and things of the sort. So I'm worried where the whole university is going to use Mwele. Won't this happen again? Is there anything that has been done to rectify that? Then secondly, you realize that Mwele is not, let me call it, interactive platform for learning. Like you can see Zoom, you've had this discussion with us interactively, but Mwele, you realize that it's simply for sending notes, sending messages and things like that. When it comes to maybe a lecture time, you will see people switching to Zoom. So yet this is, okay, let me call it Zoom being very data intensive, you know, it consumes a lot of data, and then the university says Mwele is zero rated, yet Mwele is not being used.
I know.
Can I complete my question?
Please, go ahead. Gerald, you have muted yourself, unmute.
No, they had muted me. Let me complete my question. So I was giving a scenario of last year when we were using online. We finished the whole semester without using Mwele simply because it was only for sending notes and sending messages. When it came to lecture time, it was always Zoom. So the whole semester ended up in Zoom instead of using Mwele. So I want to find out what has been done to address those two concerns on Mwele. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Gerald. Thank you for the update on the experience you have had, and you are right. We had hiccups with Mwele from the beginning. Mwele has been around for nearly a decade, but the utilization was really low. So we didn't require so much storage space and all this to enable us work with it. But like you noted, when suddenly we went into lockdown and we resorted to Mwele, so many people came on board, and that has created its challenges. The last time we were with Juma in the meeting, he told us about the equipment that they have acquired and the systems that they have set up to enable us have a more reliable platform for Mwele. It's certainly much more improved, but not yet where we want it to be. There is a lot going on now with the funding being sought from government, from donors, from wherever, to increase our capacity for Mwele to perform well. It's unfortunate over your next concern that we chose to underutilize Mwele, maybe for the first reason that you have provided, when it jams often. But now Mwele does have a lot of capacity for interactivity. All these things that my colleagues have been talking about, discussion forums, chats, they are available in Mwele. Even video, by the way, there is one that is called the big blue button. It can serve in place of the video interactivity that you have been talking about. But it's understandable, our lecturers and staff were also learning, as they were learning to teach you using Mwele, they were learning how to use Mwele. So they went in for an easier option, which was Zoom, to say, well, the notes are on Mwele. If you want to hear me speak and so on and so forth, there is Zoom, which unfortunately was not zero rated. And I think that is why the earlier complaint that they promised free bundles and you didn't get them ultimately. If we had used Mwele, it was zero rated, would have benefited, but we went outside of Mwele and did use Zoom, and that became problematic. But we are intensively training our colleagues and ourselves on how to use Mwele for more than just sending classes. Students can interact on Mwele with one another. They can interact with their professors. They can interact with materials that are on Mwele itself beyond just the lecture notes or video recordings. They can also carry out assessments like we have seen. You can carry out quizzes, you can do group work, you can submit assignments on Mwele, and that is all interactivity. So we are trying to do what we can to sensitize our colleagues and train them on how to use Mwele so that more is done on Mwele, and while at the same time strengthening the platform so that it does not collapse under the weight of a lot. And of course, DICTS has been raising these issues previously, but because of our constrained budgets, sometimes those who control the budgets would not see the value of investing so much into platforms that are not being even adequately utilized. So we will certainly improve as we go along, as we see the challenges. Now, if we go into online assessment, and there are hiccups, I am sure investment towards that will also be made. So thank you, Gerald, for raising those concerns. And I hope my response goes some way in answering you. At some point, I'll ask colleagues who have a point to contribute. But let's take our last round of questions before we close down.
Dr. Siminyu, you have only 1 minute to 12:30.
Okay.
So I'm not so sure whether we should be taking another round of questions.
May I
also
request
see Mr.
those whose
Kasaga.
hands are up there for Joseph, Edith, Alex, please type your questions in the chat so that we will have an opportunity to look at them. There is somebody with a curious name called Yoweri. Can I ask Yoweri to say the last question and we close?
Dr. Siminyu.
Dr. Samuel.
Can we hear Yoweri, please?
Well, Samuel and Jessica, thank you very much for this presentation. I have a simple question.
Yes.
For example, I myself who's having an iOS or an iPhone, I find it hard to access Mwele or downloading an application from Mwele. I don't know in the ratification of improving Mwele, whether you've also uploaded Mwele on Apple Store.
Can you please get in touch with Kasaga? He's our technical person and he's based in your college. Get in touch with Mr. Kasaga, give him your concern. He's connected with DICTS. They will see, they will explain to you whether it is taken care of or whether it needs to be taken care of. Unfortunately, I'm not competent to answer the behind the scene questions of what goes on. 9 people still with hands up. I am sorry we can't take your questions. Type them in the chat. We'll be able to look at them. And when we meet next time, because this is an introductory meeting where we are highlighting concepts that have to do with assessment and introducing you to where the equipment that you need. Now we will have subsequent meetings where we are going to actually go online and give you opportunity to go through a demo of what an online assessment would look like. And those meetings are coming next week. So questions that you put in the chat, we will answer them when we meet so that then we can flow together. Though, thank you very much. And can I give back the microphone to the coordinator? John, please.
Sam, before John comes in, John.
Hello.
John, let me just make a comment on one question that has come in the chat in different formats. This is to do with the tuition and functional fees. And students are saying, will our money be refunded? Will functional fees be reduced? Will it be refunded? Can you use our money to buy us laptops? We cannot answer those questions. The best we can do is to forward those questions to the university top management. The good thing is that colleges are looking into the modalities of running e-assessment, and we will ensure that from your college, this question is raised and is forwarded to top management. The issue of fees reductions or functional fee reductions or buying laptops for students from functional fees. What I know, however, is that the university is entering into an agreement, and that will be a tripartite agreement between, say, a student X, Stanbic Bank, and the university for the provision of laptops at higher purchase. That process is nearly done, and when the university is ready, the university community, both students and staff, will be informed. I am not aware of any process of either reducing or refunding fees, whether it is tuition or functional fees, or whether it is money for government-sponsored students or otherwise. So I thought I would respond to that question instead of leaving it hanging as we go away. John?
Okay, thank you very much, Professor, for answering that question. And now, though we've shot over by a few minutes, I invited the technical person of the College of Natural Sciences. He was not in this meeting, but I invited him specifically to have him say at least one word. So I'm giving you, Mr. Kasaga Moses, 1 minute to say something. I've seen you write in the chat, but still would like to hear your voice. Students here would like to hear you, especially about your contacts and how you will be helping them with the technical issues they have been asking and pointing out in this meeting. Mr. Kasaga, over to you.
John, can he show his video also so that students know him?
Yes, and I request the host to unmute him so that he can be able to speak. Okay.
Okay, thank you, members, the facilitators and the students. My name is Moses Kasaga. As I have indicated in the chat, I'm sorry for not being part of the meeting. I was given another responsibility concurrently at the same time. But thank you, Dr. Kenya, for calling me to be here. So I think since the time has gone, I think I'm going to just be getting most of the answers to the questions they're asking after me be here. Because on my WhatsApp already I've got a number of them and I promise to attend to them and answer all the questions. Otherwise, I think it's all about getting my contact. And I sit in the chemistry building, for those who don't know, in the chemistry e-learning lab. For any assistance, I'm always there. And you can always reach out to me by phone or on the email. So I don't know whether there is anything beyond that
Maybe
I can add on, Doctor.
You may repeat for them the phone numbers and the email address. Moses.
Yeah, if you want to get me on Gmail, it is mskasaga@gmail. If you want to use the university email, it is moses.kasaga@mac.ac.ug. And my phone numbers are 0782490448. That is the WhatsApp number. And if you want to reach me on Airtel, it is 0752-490-448.
Okay. Thank you very much, Moses Kasaga, for being available to help the CONAS students with all technical issues. And in our next meeting, we expect each one of you, the students, to come here with login credentials. You should have a username and a password and access to Mwere. Those should give you access to Mwere, because we expect the next training session to be very practical. We are now going to enter into the practical component of this training on e-assessment. So we request you to come well prepared with those login credentials, because every presenter, every facilitator will be requiring you to participate, to give in your contributions practically and even sharing with us. So come prepared with them in the next meeting so that we can move together. We do not want to leave anyone behind. And now I'm going to invite Mr. Turiachira Nazarias to wrap up today's meeting, today's training. within only 1 to 2 minutes, and then we call it off. Over to you, Nazarias.
Thank you, John. It is a simple work to do. Today we have just a few things. We have had introductions done by Bukenya, and then we went into three presentations, one for online assessment, and then we had approaches to assessment and some types of assessment, and then we had the requirements online assessment, and we had the key reactions question answer session. And now what I want to announce is go forward. We are going to have 2 more meetings next week. We are going to have 1 meeting on Monday, I think at the same time.
Nazarias, I'm muting everyone, please. Nazarias, I'm muting everyone. Please unmute to continue. Nazarias, please unmute to continue.
Thank you. I was winding up to say that we shall have 2 more meetings next week. And one will be Monday, another one will be Thursday. But as Bukenya has said, let's come prepared to log in into the courses so that we shall be participating practically online. Thank you very much for coming and for sitting in all through since 11 up to now. Bukenya, I think that's my wrap up.
When is the next meeting?
Monday at 11. Next week, Monday at 11.
Okay, thank you very much, Nazarias. And now let me hand over to our team leader, Professor Agu, to conclude the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. But John, you maybe you don't have the most recent news. Dr. Harriet Nabshaw is the new team leader. I've done sufficient mentoring, so she's the new team leader. But I think I can just say thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming in. Thank you for being a good audience and for the interactivity. Sorry, we were not able to address all your questions, but we hope that you've written them in the chat and we shall pick them up, and those that will be addressed during the next meeting will certainly be addressed. The technical issues of email addresses, of email accounts, of old emails, migrating emails, all that will be handled by your IT person, Moses Kasaga, who I know is a very competent man and has been very supportive of students. So please just do get in touch with him and he will handle your technical matters. Otherwise, take care of yourselves. The way you received the invitation, you will also receive the link to the recording, and you will then be free to share it with your colleagues who will not have come. But we will organize another training session later for those from CONAS who will not have gone through the training now. See you next week. Take care and thank you very much.
Are we taking a photograph?
Yeah, that would be a nice thing. Let's turn on our videos and we take a few pictures. We may not be
Everyone
able
turn
to
on
go
your
through all
video,
the frames.
Everyone turn on your video before you leave so that we take a group photo.
Oh boy, somebody wants lunch. Okay, I've taken one frame. We need to take another one. Oops, what happened? I didn't even catch that. Sorry. I'll just take another frame. please. Okay. Person is a bit slow, I'm sorry. Okay. This is the last frame. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Take care of yourselves and have a blessed weekend.
Have a blessed weekend.
Bye.
Bye.